Well, you can hear it better.
There we go.
Oh, great. Well, welcome everybody. We are live for another Permaculture Smackdown today on Halloween.
There we go.
So welcome, Paul. Happy Halloween.
Yeah. Happy candy corns to you too.
So we do a little early show for those that are subscribers, that we get on a little early and talk with them, and then we stay a little later and talk with them when we're not live. And we were just talking about just going on and blatantly lying about stuff. And you're thinking that's not a good idea. And why is that?
I can't do it. Other people, it's like for them, it's as easy as breathing. But this is called Cunningham's Law. And Cunningham's Law states that you'll get a better answer on the internet if you state something that's false than if you simply ask a question. So people do it all the time, and I personally am trying to not be responsive to people that use Cunningham's Law, and instead be responsive to people that are asking a good question.
Yes. All right. And I think if we do that, all right. So the idea would be, and we come on and we say just blatant lies, and then we would clarify that we're lying and this is the truth. However, now all of that audio and video of us lying in the first place is on there, and people can use clips of it. And I don't want that. All right, so it's Halloween. We don't have a ton of participants. I guess people are out like doing Halloween stuff or something, or that was my thought.
Hey, you know what? I remember something a long time ago, and it was the Gipper. What was that guy's name? The president, the movie star president, Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan. That guy.
Yeah. Well, okay. I wasn't alive.
Oh, okay. Well, he did one thing that I thought was really nice, and that was that he moved the daylight savings time thing to be always happening just before Halloween, so all those trick-or-treaters can get an hour head start. And I thought that was really awesome of him. And then they changed it again after he was out of office. And I'm not saying I was a fan of that guy, not even a little. But I thought, well, there's one good thing. And I like the whole thing where it's like you got to say at least one good thing about each of these awful people. And that was his one good thing. And so the thing is like almost immediately after he got out of office, they switched it back. And so the reason is, you know why we have daylight savings time?
Yeah, for farming.
No, not at all. Oh man, yeah. You totally drank that Kool-Aid, didn't you? Yeah, I think you got a little on your lip. I think you should, Ooh, yeah.
So why do we have it?
So who lobbied for it? It was I think it was Walmart and Target. Turns out that if you get extra daylight in the evening, you tend to shop more, you dumb fuck. Why were you doing that?
I'm thinking daylight savings time has been around before Walmart.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was an original function, and then they were kind of like, we don't use that anymore. And if you go and you ask the farmers, then it's like, no, they start their day at the same time regardless of what a clock says. And right. So it's kind of like, no, this is, it causes, I think, more heart attacks and stuff. Daylight savings time does. And so it's like, this is a big, ugly, think about how much hassle it is for just as a hassle it is for people. And it's like, why do we do this? It's so
Arizona said, fuck it, we're not doing that shit.
The Target and Walmart can make a little more money. That's all it is. That's all.
Is that it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Jeez. I thought it was always for farmers and the schools, so that the farmers could get their kids back during the daylight.
I think at some point in time, the idea was that you wouldn't need to use your light bulbs as much, into the evenings. You would just have sunlight. I think that was the original intent. but we're way past that making any kind of difference. So it turns out, because it's like their whole thing of this extra week, you know, that for the trick-or-treaters. Think of those little kids wanting to get outside while it's dark and start their trick-or-treating. No, you can't start until it's dark. And so finally those little kids get to go out and get through their trick-or-treating. It's like, and Walmart said no. Walmart said no, you little fuckers. You got to start an hour later. And don't forget to stop by Walmart on the way.
So why did they change it after? Why did they change Reagan's thing? That was it?
I thought that the reason why Reagan moved it was so trick-or-treaters could get out an hour earlier and they could have an hour more of harvesting candy.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a great reason. I was kind of thinking like, buy those votes, man. Buy them through acts of fun. You know, I just thought, what a great reason.
Was that his one of the things he ran on?
I don't think so.
Arturo says, I heard some pundits say there's so much fake news on social media that journalists, quote, quote, are having to spend so much time debunking fake news, they don't have time to report real news. Laugh out loud. Happy Halloween. I don't know. I think they're spending so much time creating fake news that they don't have to worry about real news anymore. Let's see here.
It is a mess. I don't look at the real stuff or the fake stuff anymore. I'm out of the loop on so many things because I just can't stand it anymore.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's always been there. I just, called it liars, not fake news. Let's see. Arturo, by the way, my hometown has a Halloween candy buyback program. Is that hosted by the dentists?
What? Yeah, what is it? He's got to tell us more about that. What does that mean?
Yes, it is by the dentists.
Oh,
it's so sweet of them. Think they're like, we're the only ones that can give candy away.
That's right. On your way out, here's a lolly. Fucking come back. Maybe Julia's got some thoughts on that one.
Julia's here. Cool.
Yeah. All right. So what do we? What are we talking about? Oh, Julia just says, uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
You have a lolly. Doctors are cool.
Well, first thing I want to talk about was kind of Halloween past. What you, as a huge dude, must have been able to go with some crazy shit for Halloween in your past.
I think when I was in college, I think I did death once. I had the scythe, and I made myself a big black outfit. I think I bought like a fake skull that went on my face.
Did it fit?
Good enough. I mean, for Halloween, does anything really fit anybody? I know that when I was working as a software engineer at probably my last regular gig, and Permies.com was already running, and I really wanted to spend all my life with permaculture stuff. And I just really couldn't focus on my work that much, but I still kicked everybody's ass. Then on Halloween, I wore overalls. And then on November 1st, I wore overalls.
I'm just going to stick with this.
Is
that really the story of the overalls? How you got the overalls and started wearing them all the time?
Oh, no. There's in fact a thread at Permies about me and overalls. I wore them throughout my childhood, throughout my teens. My adult life, and then as a software engineer, then of course there's a certain uniform you have to wear. In fact, when I was like 20, I worked as an accounting clerk, and I actually wore a tie.
With overalls?
Not with overalls at my work. Although I worked in an office that had like 70 women and 2 men, and I was the younger of the 2 men, and I rode my bike to work every day. So I was in pretty good shape, and then we elected somebody, And in fact, it's kind of like what we were just talking about. His name was Bud Clark, to be the mayor of Portland, Oregon. That's where I lived at the time. And this guy, his most famous thing that he'd ever done is that he's the guy in the poster for "Expose Yourself to Art." So he's the man holding open the trench coat, exposing himself to art.
Okay.
That's his claim to fame. He's the man in that poster, and he worked as a bartender, and we voted him in because that's hilarious and that's cool, and so he should be our mayor. And at the time, we had to wear these ties and stuff every day, or I had to, as a guy, I had to wear a tie every day to work. And he came up with this thing called Come As You Are Day on a Wednesday. And so several of the women in the office got together and they said that if I wore shorts, that they would buy me breakfast in the office cafeteria. And so I wore shorts. I got a free breakfast.
So that's how we get you out of your overalls if we ever do want to, for whatever reason, is offer you food.
Well, that worked then. What's the phrase for this? I was being sexually objectified, I suppose. I was sexually objectified. Bam!
You did it. Oh, Truro says with the candy thing, but then they give the candy that's been bought back to the less fortunate children. Guess they don't care about their teeth. That's funny. Yeah.
Oh, look, Brian says Bud Clark. I remember him in high school in Portland. Okay, now, Brian, does that mean like Bud Clark was in your high school?
Or you remember him while you were in high school? He was running.
So let's see. I've never been a big Halloween kind of guy. I don't even like horror movies. I just don't watch any of them. I know that The Green Mile is categorized as a horror movie, and I watched that. That's probably about as horror as I like the movie Alien, and one of my top 10 movies is Aliens, which is scary, but I'm not really into scary that much.
That's kind of a horror science fiction. I was just thinking the other day that I hate how they put horror and science fiction in the same category. Like it should be separated, but there are a lot of horror science fiction movies. I don't know.
Yeah. So I don't know. Halloween. It's always been about. I remember when I was really young, bobbing for apples and learning that the way that you get the apple is you have to commit. You have to push the apple to the bottom of the tank and just get yourself seriously fucking soaked to get that apple.
Yeah.
But then again, I like apples more than most folks, I think. So,
willing to do the full plunge.
What's your favorite Halloween candy? And don't even keep it to organic.
I don't know, man. I haven't gone to Halloween. I don't even know what candies are out there anymore. I know, like, all right, what is it? So you got Snickers, Three Musketeers. I don't know. I'm just naming candy bars. I don't really. Is there special Halloween candy that I'm unaware of? I know they're smaller now.
Well, those little candy corns, you've seen those. Those are.
Oh yeah.
They're so disgusting. I don't know why anybody likes them. Why do they even make them? But they're up there for Halloween. They're the big Halloween candy. I don't think you could even give them out, can you, for Halloween treats? I always liked Bit O' Honey.
Oh, right. I think they I don't know if it's a law or anything, but they don't let you give unwrapped candy out anymore, right? Yeah, that's like the deal. It's got to be wrapped up and sealed, and all the parents are checking all the kids' candy to make sure they're eating sealed candies.
I don't know. I had popcorn balls. I always liked those, but I kind of wonder if the whole thing about
caramel apples.
Oh, I've had a few of those. Those are great.
Those were awesome.
I kind of wonder how much of it is. I saw something recently about like the only time there's ever been poisoned like razor blades or needles in candy or whatever. It was one time many years ago, and it was only happened once. And I kind of wonder if the big push was don't let those fuckers that live in houses hand out like cookies and shit or popcorn balls. They got to come to us, the big companies, and buy stuff that's packaged just so that it's safe.
I think it's ridiculous, the reports on like people putting poison in candy and people, fucking with candy. I don't know. How often is this happening? I don't think it's happening very often. I think it's all bullshit.
Things used to be so different. But I don't know. All right. So Halloween, I don't know. Is there more you wanted to talk about for Halloween? I'm having a hard time getting traction here. People, I can tell you a witch thing that I think is hilarious. I may have already mentioned it in this show. So in Thomas Elpel's book, all right, so this is Botany in a Day. And we did this thing where we reviewed every chapter by chapter. And there was 3 of us sitting in a room. We would read a chapter, and I was always the last one. I've learned I'm a slow reader, but you mark it all up, and then we do a podcast. And it's like, okay, let's talk about that chapter. We would usually try to read about 10% of each chapter and talk about what we just read. And so for part of the book, he mentions that there's this plant, and when you consume this plant, it makes you feel like you're flying. You get this weird sensation like you're flying. But in order to be able to consume it, what you do is you touch it to a mucous membrane. You have to touch it to some kind of mucous membrane, like the stuff that's in your nose. Or I don't think stuff in your mouth counts as a mucous membrane, but apparently the most popular way is certain women who could be today referred to as herbalists and were familiar with this herb, and they enjoyed this sensation of flying, would use the handle on their broom to apply it to a mucous membrane that only women have. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yep. Why are you telling me this? Okay.
So the other thing is back then, a lot of times herbalists were called witches. And some herbalists today prefer the word witch to mean herbalist. And so, so when you're talking about them flying around on brooms, it's actually a little different. They are flying around on brooms in a sense. But it's different than what you might think. It's a rather adult thing. And then when you see some 5-year-old girl dressed up as a witch holding a broom, it's like, no. That's just not right. That's not right. You shouldn't be doing that. It's like, no.
Great, now I can unlearn that.
There's a little Halloween trivia for you.
All right. Hey, Warren says you're in good form today.
I'm looking mighty fine.
Did you get your hands on some candy? Is that what's happening?
I should say to people that for the next 2 years, I'm not eating candy or pie. Actually, I can have pie, but I can have a bite of pie like once a week.
You know what's going to happen now? Everybody's going to send you a shit ton of pie.
Well, everybody sends me lots of pie already, which is awesome. I mean, people show up here with pies. It's amazing. Or I go to an event, like a speaking gig or something, and there'll be 5 pies waiting for me. My life is so fucking awesome.
Yeah, but for 2 years, you can't do it.
I can't. And
why 2 years? Is that a magical number?
I've discovered the wonderful world of gallstones. And now I'm scared to death to eat anything delicious. It's like it's like, oh man, don't ever want to do one of those again. So just so people know that I'm not just a fucking whiner, I read something on the internet. I read a bunch of stuff on the internet where women have both given birth and they've had a gallstone, and they said that it seemed to be pretty universal. All of those women believe that the gallstone was more painful than the birth. One woman said she would rather give birth to 1,000 babies than to have one more gallstone. So, but that's so powerful drive to not eat the pie.
Yeah, no kidding. Where do you get gallstones from?
Where do gallstones come from? Well, apparently it takes like 10 years to build one. So wherever it comes from, I've been working on it for 10 years. And now I probably have a whole collection of them in my gallbladder, like waiting to pop out and surprise me.
Do you create multiples at once? Or is it every 10 years when you created?
No. You create a whole bunch of them, and then they just hang out in your gallbladder, waiting to surprise you. You know, like, hey, how about now? Like that. And so,
I thought I'd rather have gallstones than kidney stones. I think we talked about this, but anyway.
I've never had a kidney stone, so I don't know, but I've seen pictures of the, you see a picture of a gallstone. It's like round, looks like it could even be free. It's like, oh yeah, wherever that's going, that's probably not such a big deal. Then you look at a picture for the kidney stones, that thing's got spikes all over it. It's like super thorny, prickly, and it's gonna cut your shit up. And then it's like, okay, ooh man, wherever that's going, it's gonna be bad. Where does it go? It goes out through your dick, and it's like ah.
Yeah.
So I've never had one of those. I don't want one of those, and you know, I don't want to say it out loud about what I'd rather have or not have, because I'm afraid that God, being the comedian that he is, will get a laugh out of, you know, having me experience that. I don't want that.
Yeah. Jinx you a bit. I think they do surgery for it now anyway, or they can.
For me, it's like I'm at the hospital and they're like, okay, we think it's probably gallstone. How about if we send you up to the third floor and get that gallbladder out, huh?
The whole bladder? You're just gonna take the whole bladder?
Just take it out. I'm sitting there all kind of doped up and relieved that I'm on pain medication. Like, oh shit, yeah, give me more. And he wants to talk to me, and I'm kind of thinking like, what is, you know, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physiologist. I'm sure you're offended that I didn't attend medical school before having a gallstone. That probably really pisses you off. But I'm kind of thinking like, surely that thing's got to be used for something. You know, that's why it's in there, isn't it? And so he says, tell you what, you don't have to decide now. You go right on home and you go and read about it, and we'll see you in a couple of days, okay?
Yeah. He's like, you'll be back.
They're like, yeah. So then the surgeon's calling me that same day, and the surgeon's office is like, okay, we understand that you got a gallstone, and you really need to get that gallbladder out before you have another one. Well, when am I having another one? Oh, it'll probably be any day now. So you probably want to do it sooner rather than later, if you know what I'm saying. And it's like, well, I don't know yet. Oh, you don't know yet. Okay, that's fine. Well, when you have the next stone, maybe that's the day you'd like to do it. You want to? If you want, we can do that too. Now, here's what I suggest: you schedule an appointment to come talk to the surgeon and just learn about it. You don't have to commit to anything. So I did that. I went in and I talked to the surgeon, and then he shows me all the reasons why you could die from the surgery, and it's like okay, and it's like, and here's all the things where you don't die and you live, but it sucks. Oh shit, that sounds bad. So anyway, it's like a 2% chance of you being sad in one form or another, which includes death. Which, now that I think about it, you probably won't be sad at all if you're dead. It's part of the perk.
It's either the ultimate sadness or not sadness.
Yeah, it's kind of like Schrodinger's dead guy. So he's half sad and half feeling nothing. So it's Schrodinger's cat joke. The look on your face says like,
so you're like,
don't talk about that fucking cat.
So you're like, I'll keep it, thank you. No thanks for that. They're not doing a good job of selling this thing, it sounds like.
So the surgeon, he made some good points. He was kind of saying like, we used to try and do this thing with sound waves, then that turned out to not be so great. And then we also did things where people could take pills, and that turned out to be not so great. So all that's really left is surgery, or you pretty much eat, almost nothing the rest of your life. And you don't want to do that. And it's like, but if you do the surgery, then you're going to be miserable for like a good month, and then you're going to be kind of recovering for 5 or 6 months. But after about 6 months, 95% of people just go back to eating whatever the hell they want, which includes pie. So that was tempting. Boy, that was tempting.
In some ways, oh, sorry, go ahead.
So I bought a book. I read tons of stuff on the internet. I went and visited my naturopathic doctor, and I did throw a second stone 5 days after the first one. And here is how I threw my first 2 stones: is eat very little, and then in one meal eat too much. So what I was doing is that Jocelyn, on the first one, Jocelyn wasn't here to spoil me. She was looking after her kin, and she was far away. And so I was just kind of like not eating. I thought, I'm a fat fucker. I can miss a few meals. and so I was just like not getting spoiled. And so I'm just kind of going about my day and eating and stuff like that. Eating hardly at all. I'm eating hardly anything at all because it's like, I just don't want to go get the food, and there's not really anything I want to eat here, and so whatever. And then I needed to talk to somebody over lunch, and so I went to a restaurant, and I got a really delicious burger with really delicious kind of onion ring looking things, and it was a huge burger. It was a monstrous, but I'm a monstrous sized guy. I didn't think anything of it. I ate the whole thing, kind of thinking like, well, I need to store up because I might not be eating for another 4 days here. And that night I threw my first stone.
I'll get another hamburger.
And then the second one, Jocelyn had come back, and she's starting to make me eat better and stuff. But we had feast night here, and I thought, okay, I'm going to keep it small so that way I don't have another gallstone attack. And so I did. I kept about half the size of what I would normally eat on feast night, but that's still too big.
What hurt worse, the first or the second one?
The third one.
The third one hurt the worst.
The third one was way worse.
It just progressively gets worse, it seems.
So, well, no, the first one. So like, they've got that pain scale, right? Mm-hmm. So, I think I was at an 8.5 on the first one, and then I was at an 8 on the second one, and I was at a solid 9 on this last one.
Ouch.
And the last one was, and this is where I'm thinking about who was it Brian? That's instead of giving out candy, he's giving away. So there's the candy comment. Oh, there it is. Mark is handing out cheese omelets for Halloween. So here's the thing. It was Jocelyn's birthday, and I took her to her favorite breakfast place in Missoula, and I tried to pick out the smallest thing on the menu, which was like an egg sandwich, and it had eggs and sausages and cheese, and the bread was buttered. And I probably shouldn't have eaten even half of it, but I just ate the whole thing. I was thinking, at that point, it's been like 6 weeks since the last time I threw a stone. And that night, oh no, right in the middle of Jocelyn's lovely birthday dinner, and I'm saying, I think I'm throwing a stone. Oh no. So that I kind of ruined Jocelyn's lovely birthday.
So were there a bunch of people there for her birthday dinner? I'm wondering if this is something you're like, I'm going now to be alone for a while, or if it's like, God help me, everybody. what?
There was a lot of, I was on all 3 stones. I made a lot of noise.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm really glad that Jocelyn was there to, kind of try to help. It's not a good thing. It's not a good
Yeah.
thing. So there you go. Half the show pissed away on Halloween and gallstones. All I'm saying
Yay.
is that I'm afraid to eat food. I'm not going to eat any pie. And what I ate on that breakfast had all the evils in it. I'm not supposed to eat eggs. I'm not supposed to eat dairy. I'm not supposed to eat grain. And that's what that sandwich was loaded with.
Yeah, that all sounds like boo to me. Well, except grain. I don't care about grain. All right. Anyway, moving on. I got two things I want to talk about. And audience, I am hoping for some feedback from you. So get ready to typey as we talk. Let's see. First thing is the Rocket Mass Heater School. So I was at the Jamboree with all the Rocket Mass peoples, which was awesome. I really enjoyed everybody there. The innovators were great. And we thought of opening up a Rocket Mass Heater School, which we're going to do. Now, that would mean there's a bunch of courses from a bunch of different people covering a bunch of different topics on Rocket Mass heaters. So my first question is, what do y'all think about that world? Would you like to see a Rocket Mass Heater School? This would be an online school because I'm going to get all online educational courses. And then we'd also do, the workshops at Pulse.
It's true. So then there'd be like a workshop component to these schools. Like people could come out and do it hands-on.
Yeah, well, you're doing the Jamboree every year.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Why not do it? So it looks like nobody gives a shit. So nobody's responding to that. The second part of that was that the first class in that school would be or a possible first for that class or a possible portion for that class would be the Rocket Mass Heater DVD set as a course. So we break it down into lessons and then provide Q&A and so on. So I'm curious what people's interest in that would be as well. If you're watching this later, just send me an email if you're interested in that kind of thing. Online Rocket Mass Heater School sounds cool. I would be interested. Not sure I would be able to make it to Montana for workshops, though. That's fine. It wouldn't be a required thing to attend the workshops. Now, the DVD set is already out. There's 2 DVD sets. So the first lesson would be those DVD sets. Here he comes.
So there's the first 4 DVD set. And here's the second 4 DVD set.
Right. So Arturo says, yeah, that's a good idea for the DVD converted to online course material. Okay, that's good to hear. Because I've never done that. I've never taken someone's pre-created work and recreated it as a course. Now, this would involve a lot of Paul. Because there'd be Q&A sessions, Paul, you'd be answering questions, stuff like that from the students. So there is that. All right, cool. Well, at least one person's interested. What do you think, Paul?
I think it sounds like a really good idea. Of course, I think that the more that we infect brains with Rocket Mass Heater stuff, the better. I mean, it throughout. So here we had the Jamboree here, and of course we've got the leading experts from around the world to visit with. And I met Ernie and Erica and several others back in 2009 when I very first got exposed to Rocket Mass heaters. And my question then is the same as it is now. And that is, why don't more people know about this? And I don't know. It's kind of funny because you've got. I think we've talked about this before. We've got these movie stars that make these great movies about the problems of the world, and it's kind of like the Rocket Mass Heater has such a greater impact on solving these problems than the things that you've suggested, and it's like, I don't know. How do I reach those people? I've got no idea.
Well, there's no lobby group for Rocket Mass Heaters, So that's your first step if you want to get into the movies and big time is lobbyist groups apparently.
Maybe so.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know either. They're great. They're awesome. They're not some mainstream you can just go pick up at a store. But you can pick up all the parts at a store.
It does seem like a lot of people, would like it better if there was a thing that they could buy. Like, because I think that the light bulbs work for so many people because you just go to the store and you buy it, and it's like, there, I saved the world. I'm all done now. I bought the fucking bulbs. And that's the end of it. But we don't have anything like that in the world of rocket mass heaters. So
it's all about the aesthetics, Paul. Wives don't want ugly in their house. There's some beautiful rocket mass heaters.
Yeah, who the fuck is saying that?
That's Arturo. I get what he said. There's some fucking ugly rocket mass heaters.
Yeah. But there's some good ones too. Some really pretty ones. Some really amazingly beautiful ones. And so I kind of feel like part of it is like it is a different aesthetic, but it's like if it's going to save you $3,000 a year, then over 10 years, that's $30,000. It's like, I don't know, you could put in such an amazingly beautiful one. I mean, if you paid, like the one that I've got in my house right now, the one that you've seen several times, I mean, it's still not done, but it's like, most of it is nice. Really beautiful wood, granite.
Well, the stainless steel helps. The stainless steel helps a lot.
And it's like, I think the money put into that one is something around $2,500 so far. Yeah. And so but it's like some of the ones that are the most amazing and beautiful, it's like, I don't think you're even touching $5,000. So if it's beauty that you're after, it can be had.
I think people sacrifice beauty for benefit all the time. I'm thinking about cars, like those. I think the hybrids are just ugly ass cars, like the Prius and shit. It's just fucking ugly to me. But people buy them because it's 40 miles to the gallon instead of 20.
50. I have a Prius C. We get 53.
Okay, 53. I'm sorry.
Yeah. 53. Yeah. Back that truck up.
Whatever they are, they're not diesels, so I'm not happy until I want a hybrid diesel.
I think they make them.
Good.
You've seen
they do
for right? A train is actually hybrid diesel. Nearly all boats are hybrid diesels.
Yep, and they make what is it? It's the Audi. Is it an Audi or it's a no? It's a Volkswagen Jetta. That's a hybrid. I think it's a hybrid diesel, or it's just a kick-ass diesel. Gets like 60 to the gallon or some crazy shit. Anyway,
this is pretty good. Warren says the prettiest car you can get is one that's paid off.
I agree, Warren.
There's a lot there. Yeah. So Brian's got a Prius. I'm sorry. So I've got the RAV4, which I've had for, I don't know, 16 years or something like that. And all-wheel drive is very nice for the slippery time of the year. But the rest of the year, man, it's like I got to make several trips to town before I need to fill up that Prius. And then it's like, okay, it's all full. And it's like, it took 8 gallons. Yeah. And it's like, that's it, really?
Nice.
It's pretty nuts to drive the Prius.
Brian says he's got one too. He's got a 52-mile round trip commute. So, Brian, I guess you're just using 1 gallon a day. You're burning a gallon of gasoline per day. Yep, that's what he says. All right, cool. Good for you, Prius guys. My truck is not a Prius. It is a big diesel.
Julia's on here. She's got an all-electric car. Did you see? Because her husband was at the Jamboree. Did you see that all-electric car?
No, I didn't see it there.
Bolt.
Is it one of those? It's a Volt? A
Bolt. I think it's called a Bolt when it's all electric. And so there's shiny blue Bolt.
Very
And
nice.
um, so Elliot, her husband, drove it over here, and I think he had to stop like halfway over to spend the night someplace to get it charged. And this is the big Achilles heel for the electric vehicles. But I think we're not that far away from something where it's like maybe 5 years from now, and I'm really looking forward because I hate getting on an airplane. For not only because I just get so angry at all those guys, the security guys that are like, what are they called? The TSA people. And it's like, I don't want them to x-ray me. I don't want them to feel me up. I don't want to take my shoes off.
No touchy, thank you.
I don't want them to x-ray anything that I own. And it's like, if you're going to get on a plane, that's all it is. Then I actually get on the plane, and it's like a big mystery of whether or not I'm going to fit into the seat until I'm actually there. Then the people that work on the plane are rude as fuck if I don't fit in a seat. And it's like, all right. So I love this idea that's in my head that about 5 years into the future, that it's going to be like, okay, tomorrow I'm giving a presentation in Denver. So I'm going to go tonight here in Montana. I go and I get in my car, and there's a bed in there, and I lay down and I go to sleep, and I wake up in the morning and I'm in Denver. And the car took me there, and it got more electricity on the way and all this stuff, and I didn't even have to think about it.
You're gonna have drones. You're gonna have drones transporting people pretty soon.
I imagine that you could have a drone transporting you. I'm not sure a drone can transport me. See now, that's where I was going when I was talking about the surgeon. Is like, remember the surgeon had that 2% fuck up rate? Something went wrong. There's 2%, and here's the list of all the things that could go wrong, and you fit into that 2%. Here's my thinking. Anytime I go to the roller coaster, I'm the guy that's testing how much that roller coaster can haul. And so it's like so everybody else is like, scared because maybe the roller coaster will fall apart while they're on the ride. And it's like, no, it's not falling apart for you. It's falling apart for me. And so I kind of feel like I already push the extremes for everything in my life. And if it comes to doctor stuff, it's like, I don't know what it is. I'm always the edge case because of reasons. Everything's different about being a giant. It's like I'm surprised I have a gallbladder like everybody else. I'm surprised that my, internal guts are the same as other people. And then
I've heard smaller people.
They've learned what path to do and what dose to do and what everything to do based on average sized people. But I don't think that they've got enough whatevers for guys my size. And so then for me, it's almost always an experiment. And so it's going to be real easy for me to fall under that 2%. So I am not really keen on getting surgery if I can get out of it.
What other country breeds a lot of large people besides America? Austria?
I'm mostly Scottish.
Yeah.
I'd have to say Scotland's got quite a few.
I'm Scottish too. Anyway.
I don't know.
Samoa. The Sumo people. Sumo wrestlers and shit. Yep, there's some pretty big people. I was just wondering if, anyway, doesn't matter. Biggest newborn I ever saw, 14 pounds. Holy shit. That's a big baby. Yeah, all right. Hey, I was wondering, audience, do you have a way of chatting anonymously? I think there is. I think there's a way you can type anonymously. Or you can somehow, I don't know, figure that out if you can. If you can, let me know. Yeah, I had a Honda Fit. A lot of people don't know that about me. I've always been a big truck kind of guy, but I did have a Honda Fit when I was living in Las Vegas, and I loved it. It got great mileage. I think it was getting like 40. It's not a hybrid or any of that shit. It's just a gasser. It was getting like 40. And seats laid all the way flat. It was great. It was a great vehicle. It still is, actually. It's still running. I sold it to my mom a long time ago. So
nice.
Yeah. Because someone said, it was Brian. I also have a 4x4 Ford F350 diesel, so now Josiah can like me again.
Okay. So,
So cool. Yeah, all electric vehicles. Yeah, what's the Tesla is the other company coming out with those all electric.
this is coming out with a lot of them. Yeah.
I think the way to go is to have a diesel generator on an electric vehicle. So the diesel generator powers the alternator and charges the battery while you're driving, uses very little gasoline or diesel, and it's able to keep it charged without having to stop for those all-nighter pull over and recharge things.
I think we're going to get to a point, like, I was talking about 5 years from now, then the car is going to, I'm just going to wake up the next morning and be in a whole different city. So I think that there's a couple of big innovations that are probably en route. One is that the batteries will hold a lot more, and they'll also charge a lot faster. And there'll probably be other ways of I mean, it's one of the, well, there'll be other ways to charge the battery or other materials, like the batteries we made from other stuff. And maybe that's another thing too, is maybe people will end up with two different kinds of batteries. Maybe one battery will be like the batteries you have now, which take a very long time to charge, and there'll be another kind of battery that will be able to charge in 2 minutes and be fully charged, but it'll only hold the charge for like a day.
Right.
So you'll go in, you'll get it charged, and it's like, but you know that you're going to be, driving only a little. You're gonna have to stop and get it redone every 3 hours to make your trip.
Or you'd have both. You'd have both in the same vehicle.
That's what I'm saying, is that there'd be both in your vehicle. Yeah. So, so you can go ahead and pull over every 3 hours and get recharged in 2 minutes. But you're going to lose. This charge is only going to last a day, or maybe it'll only last 2 or 3 days. It won't be like you fill it up and you have it a really long time, but it'll be something odd like that, perhaps.
We just need John Galt's engine. That's all we need.
Yeah, that'll make things a hell of a lot easier.
He won't make it.
You have to buy it. You don't have to pay for it with gold.
That's right.
Somebody on the chat, I saw something about Bitcoin earlier, and so I have something like half a Bitcoin.
Hey, you got like $700 or $800.
No, I have several $1,000s. Thank you.
Well, Bitcoin. One Bitcoin. What's a Bitcoin worth right now?
I think it's like at $6,000.
I know it just got a little bump. Is it up to 6?
I think it's over 6. Bitcoins are 63.69 today.
Yeah, you're right. 63.61.99.
Okay, there you go.
Love it. Love those Bitcoins. You, man.
So yeah, right, we're hopefully going to be adding Bitcoin support to the digital market out at Permies.com. So that's part of the boring work that I do, is a lot of the online gobbledygook that needs to be done.
Congratulations, Warren. Paid off his house with Bitcoins. Man, I don't touch them. I kind of leave them as like the backup. Like, I'm just going to forget I have those so I don't spend them. So I've got some Bitcoins. I'm pretty excited about all that. Let's see.
Bitcoins as opposed to I got half a coin.
Yeah, well, when I got into it, man, they were like $30.
Like, all right, I'll get 5.
Yeah. Well, I was like, I started bartering with people, right? And I was like, yeah, I'll take Bitcoin, whatever. You could, go for it. It was mainly people had all these Bitcoins, and I had stuff. I wanted to barter for other stuff, but they were all excited about the Bitcoin, and I wanted them to be happy that they could spend their Bitcoin in some way. So I was just like, sure, I'll give you this for that. And now I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm glad I did that. Let's see here. Artificial intelligence is what will bring us those self-driving cars, a massive unemployment. I hope that people will be managing and harvesting polyculture food. This is something This is something that will be hard for a robot to do for some time. Man, they are selling robots. I saw a robot that's like self-harvesting. I'm sure it's not polyculture. Actually, I think it is a polyculture harvesting robot. Now it's a polyculture in rows. It's like a row bed thing, and it's actually bed, right? But it's on track. It's like on a track. This thing plants and harvests, from what I understand.
Yeah, the thing I saw was pulling weeds, and so it's like if it's going to pull
It
weeds,
does that too.
it's going to have to differentiate between the different kinds of plants.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, it's just a smart computer. It like identifies plants, rips them out if they're not identified, whatever. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it's got to get smarter. I'm sure it's got faults, but especially for monocropping stuff, of course, that's easy, no brainer for the machine, or not easy. I'm sure it's difficult to make, but they've got it, man. It's coming soon. But yeah, you're right. There'd be massive unemployment with vehicles, but there would also be mass employment with like all electric vehicles, because if everybody's going to these self-driving all electric, that's like a lot of computer nerds that are needed to operate those things. And like your mechanic will be a computer guy, not a mechanic, and that's what it'll turn out to, right?
Sure. All right. You had a list of topics to talk about today.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
The class. You talked about the rocket mass heater classes. I think it's good. I think that, for some of those segments, you talked to me about that before, and it sounded like for about 1/4, maybe 1/5 of the segments that I would teach. And then there would be other people that would teach the other bits and bobs. It's like,
yeah, well, we spoke with the other innovators, right? We got Erica and Ernie. Let's see, Peter Vandenberg, Kirk, who is Donkey, and Chris, who is Mud, and some others that are all interested in doing courses. And so we're gonna make it happen if people are super interested. Like if that's worthy of doing courses for, which I think it is. I think Rocket Mass Heater. I mean, even if it's not a huge sale out for everybody, it is definitely knowledge that should be out there, and it'd be a good thing to get out there. So let's see. Next thing I want to talk about is Toby Hemingway. So as you know, I think Paul is the last course Toby taught, and I'm not sure, maybe the last video that's out is we have it. We did the Creating Gaia's Garden course with Toby Hemingway, and so we went through a whole long, excruciating process of getting certificates for the students who had taken Toby Hemingway's course while he was alive. People signed up. We didn't open it after Toby passed away. With maybe a month after the course, the last lesson was completed, and maybe a month or two. We closed the course down. We're not going to sell a course from Toby Hemingway when he's not around and alive. So what we've been sitting on this, thinking about it, and the latest idea for what to do with this course, and I think is the way to go, is to make the course free. So everybody will have access to Toby Hemingway's. This is a Creating Gaia's Garden course. Yes, he will always be with us. Thank you, Dana. He's a marvelous teacher. It's a very good course, and it's really good for like introduction if you're getting into permaculture. But it's even good if you've already done a PDC. It's a good like addition to a PDC. Or something to take before taking a PDC, just to make sure you're into it. So what we're thinking about doing is releasing it for free. Now, of course, if you want to get certified, if you want it to be certified, you'd pay for that. You'd still pay for that portion, just because it takes so much manpower to get those certifications done. So we still charge for that, but all the course material, you can still put up all of your assignments, put up the final designs. You can still see other students' final designs and their assignments. So that's the thinking. That's the plan. What do you think?
So then, for the course portion of it, for the videos of him, you're talking about like possibly putting that up on YouTube or something like that.
Nope. It would still be a course. It'd just be free to enroll.
Okay. All right. And then people would be able to comment on each of the sections. And then you mentioned something about seeing each other's designs. Is that part of the free part?
Yep.
And then the only part that costs anything is if you're going to go through and get the certification process, the certification part.
Yeah. If you want your designs and your homework assignments all graded and reviewed, and then for you to get certified, we would still charge for that. I won't charge much, just because I want this to be very accessible to everybody, or as many people as possible. I want this to be my treat to the world, or Toby's treat to the world. And so yeah, we'd still have to charge for that, but it wouldn't be very much.
I think this is a great idea. I really like it. I really like this.
Yeah, Data says, what about giving the proceeds to his wife? That's probably where a lot of the certificate stuff would go to keep his wife.
So I've got a couple of podcasts that I recorded with Toby, and I think it's important to kind of point out, I think one of his greatest contributions had to do with his professional life before he got into permaculture and his death. And that is that he was a cancer researcher. Mm. And he died of the very cancer that he researched. And the important thing is the part where he said that he had a difference of opinion with the people that he worked for, and that he felt that the product they were making would make everybody worse. And so he ended up quitting, and then he never took their product, even though he suffered from the very thing that it supposedly cured. Yeah. And so I think this is something that's not well known about Toby, but we did talk about that in podcast. And it's kind of like, it's to him, it's like, okay, there's all this stuff that falls under the name of science. And it's like, and we depend on science for so many things. And we depend on the white paper to be very factual. And then, of course, it needs to be peer reviewed. And it's like, but the shitstorm of lies and wickedness is so awful that it's like it gets to where you just can't tell anymore. It's a fucking mess. And yeah. And so now there's a bunch of other things I want to point out where it's like, I want to say to people, why do you believe that? And it's like, because that's what all the doctors say. It's like, no. And it's like, because that's what science says. Oh, no, that's not what science says. And it's like, all the scientists have proven it. There's nobody who objects to it anymore. And it's like, it's just PR work. It's just this incredible PR thing that's just brainwashed the masses. And it's like, it just seems like it comes up over and over and over again. It's just so much of all this stuff.
Well, you have, especially in that industry and with like peer review and journaling and things like that, you have an environment or an industry where there are grants being given to find something specific. If someone working on that staff of scientists, if one of those scientists or multiples of them find something that contradicts what the grant is for, you will be kicked off the team if you are releasing that kind of information or insistent upon it, those results, if you're releasing those results, because you're not going to get the grant. So then it dies, or like that whole, oh shit, this is wrong, goes away. And they will only use the results that lead to the grant. And then the other thing is that you will often not get the journals, the journals that people publish to for these scientific research is, if you publish something that is not wanted, in the journal, good luck getting work or grants for other things. So yeah, there's a whole corrupt system, and I think that's probably a main or a big reason why Toby just got out of the industry.
Yeah,
it's not. Well, how are you going to fight it? You can't. If you fight it, you can't get work, or you get fired, or both. You get fired and you can't get work again.
Well, and I think that there's a lot of really good, decent people working in this whole arena.
Oh yeah.
And they're just they're just drowning in the bullshit. And now then there's anyway. Toby's an amazing guy. I like the idea of seeing the and it's a PDC, right? It's not just a permaculture course. It's a PDC.
It's not a full PDC. This is like think of it like a micro PDC or a backyard PDC.
Okay. All right. So it's a permaculture course. It's a free permaculture course. All right, cool. How many hours do you have of Toby talking?
Oh, I think there's 8. I think it's 8 hours.
Okay. All right.
Maybe more. I'd have to look.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
Because we also there's Q&A sessions that we did with Toby. There's a lot of extra video as well as the course material. And so it's a great experience if you haven't seen Toby or talked with Toby before, or maybe you've never heard of him. If you're in permaculture, I can't imagine you haven't, but I did talk to someone who was into permaculture or knew about permaculture and said he never heard of Toby Homanway. It blew my mind. But he's an excellent guy. He's like just one of the nicest people I've ever met. He was a sweetheart.
Yeah, Toby's been well regarded for a long time as being the sweetheart of permaculture.
And what I'd like to do as well is get in touch with other permaculture instructors that have spoken with Toby, that have known Toby, and have them do some videos to add to the course as well. I'd like for them to talk about Toby and to just add some content, if they want to share their knowledge with the students, with Toby's students. So that was it, man. That's the big announcement.
So, okay. So you had a list of stuff. Did we cover the whole list? Surely we didn't cover the whole list. You had quite a list.
No, but we're out of time.
Oh, we are.
I got it just in there. Let's see here. Hey, Mark says, just got my Guy's Garden certificate from Toby's class. Thanks, Josiah. You're welcome, Mark. Glad you got it, man. Yeah, that was a trying experience getting that sorted out. You can imagine. Anyway. Let's see here. Cool. Another Smackdown done. Happy Halloween, everybody. I hope everybody has a great week. And we'll have Smackdown next week. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mm.
Maybe hopefully you won't be passing any more gallstones or something. But if you do, we can talk about it.
I think we covered everything there is to say. I mean, there's like dietary restrictions are pretty comedic, and but and it's like if it wasn't for Jocelyn, I doubt I'd be following it. I'd probably just get the gallbladder out, but Jocelyn's all over it. She's like cooking all the right kinds of foods and stuff.
All right. So we'll see you guys next week. Thrivethrough.com. Go and check it out, and Permies.com. Check it out. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.